Magazine, holding it down pound for pound. Y'all already know how we get down. I got the one and onlys. That's the ghetto way of saying it, the one and onlys. Your boy is legendary. Legendary. Still opening doors even in 2015. The one and only OG Kid Frost. His right hand man, the one and only Scoop DeVille.
What's up?
And there it is. There it is, y'all, man.
Street Motivation, thank you for having us.
Oh man, thank you guys for being here. This is a pleasure.
Being part of a good movement, great people, family. So definitely always down for the cause. And shout out to everybody a part of the magazine.
Thank you.
And first, if you know, a lot of people have been trying to get us, and we really been turning down a lot more interviews than we are taking ones. And when I did the research at first, when they really had us, I mean, if you guys really know, I said no.
Oh yeah, I've been trying to get you for 2 years, Frost. Like,
and it wasn't even. It's just, man, the way progression of hip hop is, at a certain point, I just stopped feeling relevant in the game and just wanted to hand it to the crown prince of Latin hip hop, but not even in that genre of saying Latin hip hop, because it's really not, because it's hip hop as a whole. It's like, because hip hop is really like a big pot of gumbo, menudo, spices, herbs, and all these flavors from all these different MCs and artists and producers. And so to get somebody to really lock in and do that in that realm of hip hop, I don't think from 2015 on we should have that moniker of Chicano rap or Latin rap. I think it should just be rap.
Just period. Rap, period. Yeah. Don't try to box it in for no...
Or pigeonhole us into a certain genre of rap, and then when they look at us, I think people should see the music for itself first now, instead of being labeled as a certain genre.
Well, it's a commercial thing now. It's not like it's a like something that is forbidden or like not heard of. Like, it's everywhere. You hear all the records out today, the top records of the country, and they're not even rap records, but they got the rhythms and the 808s and the stuff that we use to make these hip hop records. So it's definitely reached a huge mass, and that's why for me, like when I'm working with people, it's never about like race or anything like that. It's just about who's bringing the hot flavor and who has the knowledge and the understanding of where it's gonna go and where it comes from and where we're gonna take it. So that's basically what it is.
Especially now that the masses are so more receptive to hip hop because of the internet and the social medias and the things like that. Artists. I mean, we didn't have that back then when we came out. We didn't have
Instagram or nothing. A lot of these cats wouldn't be nothing without that.
Yeah, like, it was word of mouth back then.
Word of mouth.
Big posters on the wall, on the windows, on the poles.
Real talent and real noise that people were making in the streets, and it's definitely changed. But it's cool to come from that schooling and understand where it's going now too. So like we'll have conversations, me and him, about how things used to go back then. And then we'll have also the new conversations of how things are running now, and it's just how can we bring certain elements of how we grew up and made things special and unique, and bring that element
What's
back.
The conformity? Like how do we conform, and how do we blend in with what is? And I think what it is that we got to stop the labels. We got to stop this West Coast, East Coast, Dirty South. We gotta stop doing that and just
stop separating.
Yeah, we gotta stop putting it back to
they love to put it in a box always.
As a whole.
Oh yeah, that's all the time. It's amazing to me to hear you speak like this, Scoop, because you are much younger. You're 27, correct?
Yes.
Okay, 27 years old. It's just amazing. You and my son are actually the same age, and I commend both of you guys because both of you are so much alike. Maybe because of the age of Frost and myself, it's just amazing that you want to conform to old school
enough to be around people who taught us the ways, and also we got to see things start out of nothing. And these were times where music was special and coming from a special place. And you know, when it would go to the masses, it was touching millions of people. We grew up around Easy and Dre and Tupac. So I mean, to see these people do their thing and now like roll with them too, like and make music for them and strategically put things out for them, like that's it's cool to be a part of that. And it's important that people understand that. They don't even know I'm Mexican. People think I'm not that. They think I'm from Compton, Black Cats, one of Snoop's homies. Like they don't know I'm Mexican. And that's another thing too. Like being Mexican and being in the industry is a hard thing because it's like we have to work really hard to try to get that notoriety. Everyone always wants to put us in a box, bald head, you know, talking about
Cholo.
your neighborhood and this and that. And that's cool because I mean I grew up around a lot of that, so it's
Modern
a part of my
Cholo.
nature. Weed is a part of my nature. California, the whole thing is a part of my my life. So at the end of the day, it's like I embrace it and try to always keep things original and bring a lot of that classic feel to today's music and sound because it's important.
Do you ever get a lot of slack because Kid Frost is your father? Do people just like, oh,
No.
the reason he in the game?
Never, not. I mean, sometimes maybe like one or two people, but they don't amount to all the millions and millions of fans and people that we already touched with our music and everything that we're doing. So, you know, I have many fans around the world, and I'm blessed to be able to be in this situation. And it's definitely, my father's a huge part of it because he believed in everything that we were doing at a young age. You know what I'm saying? Just
A lot of people,
behind it and
a lot of people don't
gunning.
realize that he already had gone into the radio in that realm at like 14 years old. He produced that track Mamacita from Bash. So that already had went radio across the board. And so he already got a taste of what that had already felt like while he was still in junior high school. So it wasn't even really like, I didn't want to show him it or expose him to it without him seeing every part of it. And it was pretty crazy because there were phone calls and stuff that Easy would call looking for me, that he would pick up the phone and answer and stuff. And he, you know, look, things like that. And hanging out with Fred Wreck at a young age, hanging out with Tony G at a young age, really, I think it's still the values that
Still hanging out with them.
that he has to this day. I mean, you know what I mean? And Scoop didn't come from anything that had to do with hip hop or rap. His name came from Little League Baseball. Actually, he was a left-handed first baseman that scooped every ball that came at him, and that's really Scoop. Is really how his name came about. Really was from baseball.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you when he came into when exactly did you know that your son could make tracks, hot tracks? When did it just?
Well, he started making them at 8, 9. He would. My friends would come over, look, and he would look. He had I remember one house we had distinctively because his room was right there when you walked into the house. So he had his room before you walked in. So I remember like some of the people would come over to come and see me, and he would be like, shh, come here. And then I'd be like, hold on. Like, they're telling me hold on, and they'd be like, what are you doing? Your son's calling me right here by the window. And I'd be like, no, come on, come inside. He'd be like, hold on. And he'd be like, man, let's talk, hold on. And so they'd go back over there, and he's like, man, your son wants to play me some beats. And I was all,
you were scooping them in, huh?
yeah, he was already like, trying to play beats for cats. And I was all like, man, he's like 9 years old. He's like, he already wanted a drum program. I remember back then, the computer cost like $3 grand when it first came out. Remember when you first got a computer? And he had to have it. So man, it was like $3,700 to get him this computer. And we got to get it for him. And he was, I want to say he was 10 years old, 11 years old when he first got his first, I don't even remember the names of those programs or anything, how he even made the beats or any of that. It was a trip. And then it went to, all right, I got this. And then it went to, I need a computer, I need a keyboard, then I need a drum machine. And then it went to, he started cutting up bad in school from it and turned into a b-boy and a hip-hop kid way before his time in school. And he got in trouble at school, actually. And then he got in trouble for writing some bad words, I think. And then he got in trouble for, they called me in for school. No, he got in trouble. And in school, his grades started failing. So I was like, how am I going to do this? So I went that day while he was still at school, and I went and took his whole studio apart. the whole thing, and all the equipment and everything, and took it to my real big studio and just put it in the corner. And I said, when your teacher calls me herself on the phone and tells me that you're doing better in school and your grades are up, I'll give you back all your equipment. So it took him.
I just didn't want to do it because I was busy with music.
At first, I already know at his age he probably had imaginary middle fingers up to me saying I'm not going to do it because he didn't budge for the first weeks at all. But he really seemed we were serious. We're not going to give him back his music equipment, and it started. All of a sudden, his grades went from F's to B's and A's. He became a straight A student by wanting his equipment back so bad.
Yeah.
So instead of us we went the day when the teacher called me. I can't believe your son. He's turned around. He's an A student now. What happened? So we went that day. I went to Guitar Center. All his equipment that was right there, I went and bought him all the latest keyboard thing. Even Uncle Bash bought him a Trinity.
Nice.
Big keyboard,
Nice.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up giving him back all that equipment plus then some equipment to build his studio back up again. And
he never really wanted to take it away at the,
Yeah.
he
just
brought
wanted
it back.
you to do better.
Yeah, of course, and that's what a father's supposed to do, and
That's right.
I'm thankful for that definitely.
So
Taught me a valuable lesson,
Oh yeah, all you fathers out there, if y'all don't know what to do and y'all son's trying to get to that music, go ahead and take it away from them. Make them get them grades right. Make them get them right.
I mean, that's important now because now it's instilling him to really do better music business. Mm-hmm. It helps. Your education and everything is a vital source, especially when you're communicating with people and you're out there doing your thing. You got to really have those communicating skills. You got to really be a humble cat with people out there, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no room for that arrogance of hip hop that carried from the late '80s into the early '90s, and the transition of everybody just becoming some real cool cats in the game now. Don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of people out there that are not doing good business and still doing shady business out there, but we're not really talking about that small percentage of people that are getting overshadowed now by people that are doing real good business in the industry, man.
That's right. Yeah, there are a lot of good people out there. We run into a lot of good people all the time, so like you said, we just can't let some of those negative people get us all down. We got to stick together, and we got to outweigh those crazy folks out there, and we just got to keep it moving and stay motivated as always, Exactly. And they gonna fall off anyway. Yeah, they always do. You see somebody that's running game now, and then you let them get over the first time, but it's no room for the second time.
He's through.
He's
through.
He's done with the
that
game.
man.
Yeah.
That man should have. Man, I don't know. Yeah. He should watch the anger management movie. He really should have. I mean, stay home. Yeah. Stay home.
Well, karma is a mother.
Yeah.
You do unto others as they do unto you. So you gotta be prepared. But some people don't believe in karma, so they think, I can just do whatever today and forget about tomorrow. They don't think about tomorrow. But some of us, we thinking about not just tomorrow, we thinking about next year and the year after. Mm-hmm. Some people just stuck into today. Yeah. So, and it's good for us who think about tomorrow and get them that day. Yeah. So we ain't gonna worry about sugar. I'm gonna get into some of these questions for you.
Come on.
That Brandon, I told you about Brandon. Brandon is excited, so he had to get his questions in.
Yeah, come on.
He put in there that many Chicano rappers today point to you as an early influence. But when you first started out, there was no Chicano rap scene. Who influenced you?
My influences were actually, I grew up off of musical influence from my family origin of the early 60s Tex-Mex origin of the El Chicano, Santana. Also in my house were a couple Willie Bobo records. A lot of Motown stuff that was in our house, but also a lot of Mexican music, Miguel Aceves Mejia, Lola Beltran, a lot of stuff like that were in our house that was different influences. So those were records that my mom would play full blast cleaning the house, and I would hear these records, like singing Pa Todo el Año and these songs in Spanish, and I think those were the first real influences of music that really got into me. Now, I grew up on military bases as a younger kid,
Right.
and a lot of the influences that I seen from that music, you got to understand, was such an array of different sound because there were so many different cultures of people from different military bases. So every house that you would walk down on our street, you would hear anything from James Brown to Sweet Home Alabama to, you know, just so much different music everywhere. Cat Stevens would be playing over here, and then you walk around the corner and you would hear, you know, Carlos Santana, Evil Ways, and it was just like, those influences were really what really grabbed me as a whole. I first heard a rapper way before Rapper's Delight because I lived on military base.
You was in Guam and Germany.
Yeah, we were in Guam, Germany, Panama. My dad was a command sergeant major for School of America's jungle training expert, so
Okay.
he actually trained all our allies. So we were already living in Panama, Guam, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Bolivia. We were traveling around, and we were stationed in Panama while my dad bounced around training the allies. So my musical influence, even from Panama, I mean, I could still sing from in the morning when they had our TV. They would play the Panamanian national anthem, and it would be like Panameño, Paname, and I wasn't even Panamanian, but it's just so much music, you just grab it, you know what I mean? And you would hear it, so it was just an array of just so much things that, and as we grew up on the military bases, so did the kids, and the music started changing, and we went from that James Brown into Parliament Funkadelic with the George Clintons and the OJs, and we started going into all that kind of music, and then, like I said, it started evolving into more, and then maybe in '78, there was this guy from Brooklyn, New York, his name was Sloan, and his dad was stationed in the army base. He had a little radio like this big, and he had a little microphone, and it was plugged in, and this cat was walking around, and he was going, "Peekaboo, guess who? It's me," like, and he would just start talking, but we didn't know really, he was rapping really, but we didn't know it, right?
Yeah, like
We're on the base, we're shining our shoes, we're like chilling, we're like, what is this cat doing? But every night, like at 7 o'clock, he would come with that little radio, and he would start rapping like he was rapping. And then maybe right then in that part of it, I from the military base, my pops and them were gonna retire. So I was just gonna turn 17, but I didn't want to leave that life. So my parents, me, and all of us, we lied, and they signed a paper saying I was 17 and a half, and they signed me into the military myself, and I went to the army.
Oh,
And so I ended up, I didn't want to be in, like, I wanted to really have a MOS and a class title that really did something. So I became a 16 Delta, which was missile crewman loader launcher. Like, I messed with missiles and stuff. I didn't really want to be a grunt with a machine gun. I wanted to push the let it go. You know what I mean? So that's what I was. I was a missile crewman, loader and launcher.
Now, how long were you in the army?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah. And then that's right then in the army. I already knew I was gonna be in the DJ and the hip hop thing because at that time when I got signed in, I already was cool with Ice and them. I already knew Ice-T, because we were in a breaking crew with Boogaloo Shrimp, the pop locker. That before breaking, it was called the LA Fancy Dancers, and before we even had the rapping thing, I had a members only jacket with them white gloves, and we used to go everywhere and hit all over LA. We were pop locker.
Do that move again for me again, Frost.
I was one of the baddest at it, right, Scoop?
He still good.
I don't really do it. Jacko really does it more than me, but I used to really, really pop at it. But at that time, it was like, popping to me was like that wall. That's how many poppers and all that were.
Okay.
And I only seen like 3 rappers. I seen Ice-T. He had a record called Cold Wind Madness. He had did it with the dudes from The Time. And Mike Sober, who had actually produced The Time with Morris Day and them, actually produced that record with Ice. So Ice's rap, when I heard that on a real wax record, I was like, man. And then I already kind of knew, like, I wanted to get into the rap game because of the Sugar Hill Gang. When that record finally had broke, when I already had heard influences and seen breakdancers and seen all that way before the record had broke on the radio. When Rapper's Delight came out, remember it had a 26 or 27 minute version, and they played it on the radio. So I left from LA, from the Greyhound station, hearing Rapper's Delight. I had one of those little radio cassettes. Remember? I mean, cassette players, the one where you pushed it up, that little box one. And I was carrying it with me, like boom, boom, boom. So I heard it on the radio. I put the little thing with the cassette, and I recorded it like as best as I could, like from K-Day. And I had it right there, so I'm boom. Now what you hear is and I'm just playing it over and over and over and over until the thing got stuck in that thing. So I'm like that. I got a pencil. I'm trying to fix it.
With the back of the rubber part.
And I'm like, man, I can't go from California on the Greyhound bus without this song.
Yeah.
So man, so I'm trying to fix it. So the bus stops in Indio. So we're right there. So the song's like wildfire. It's getting played like everywhere. So I hear it again inside. They're playing it inside of the McDonald's or the Burger King right there in Indio. And then we're heading out on the 10. And I'm like, here I run in there again. And people are talking and on. I'm trying to push the recorder, play another, like grab it again, like another piece of the song. And I'm like, man, and that song was like, so dope. By the time I got to El Paso, I knew the words of the song. So when we got to El Paso, I'm already singing Rapper's Delight like the whole way, like singing it. And then when we get to El Paso, Texas, we're like right there. And there was a club called Grand Central Station. Well, remember, I'm already like, no one's popping there. And we're already like, boom, boom. We're on everything. So I'm on a Greyhound bus. Everything I'm hearing pop music. Like, we're already on already on the Zap. And the Roger stuff was already prevalent in the streets out here in the early 80s stuff, already hard. So the Do-Wah Diddy and all that stuff was already, we weren't popping to it yet, but we were already getting ready to do it. The only thing we were really waiting on, really like, of that emergence was getting there. So when I get to El Paso, they play it in the club, right? Nobody really knew the record, but I knew every word. So I go in the middle of the whole club and I'm singing this song and everybody, I mean, this is Grand Central Station. So this is like the military base with everybody from stationed there on the base, from Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, Cali. And I'm in there, know the words to this song. So the dude grabs me and he's all, come here. And he's all, how do you know that song? Like, I said, man, we already got it in California already. It was already playing out there. Like, it was already coming this way. And by the time it already had hit El Paso and we were on the base, dude, I want to say at least 65 of us that were stationed in the military base could sing that song from the morning when we would get up at 4 in the morning from Reveille. They'd have the radio thing like this, and as soon as they'd wake us up with the thing, all you would hear through the speakers of doom, 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 and the whole army base would just get up to that song, dude. It was crazy. And then after that song kind of started, and then that was it. It was the birth of the whole thing, like of the whole hip hop, and that changed my whole life. I already knew like I was gonna be a DJ. From that point, after that came Bambaataa, and then with Planet Rock. Once Planet Rock and them hit, then it was Universal, and then Break. They didn't know, half of the crews didn't know whether they were going to be poppers or breakers. So then the breaking crews came, the popping crews came. It was bomb, dog. LA at that time was incredible because there was a million backyard parties. You had to go, you would bounce from backyard party to backyard party. I was rapping at those parties. I would get paid $25 at that backyard, $25 at that backyard, but you go from 6-7 backyards from Pico Rivera to Almani, here to Puente to Whittier and back and forth. That thing, it would start adding up.
Now, when did you begin to call yourself Frost? Was it
right away?
Right away.
Right away.
Right away. You was Kid Frost from day one.
Ice-T, Kid Frost. It just came in that whole.
Like where did it derive from?
Ice kind of, the moniker of Ice and my grandma and them kind of like came up with the Kid Frost thing like all at the same time. Because I used to be called, I was actually the Mad Popper. Like that was really like my title like of anything. Because we would pop battle at the Sundown right here at the drive-in.
Okay.
And it was weird because we would always get into it. Like there was different pop crews, like the Meridians and different crews that would come out, and we would go at it. Like it was crazy. After the popping, we would get into it a little, like scuff them up a little bit, and then it was just how the backyard parties were back then in the crew. It was pretty crazy, and then we started taking over the parties ourselves because we started becoming the actual DJ crew. Okay. Like right away, I didn't want to pop no more because, like I said, it was like that wall. Like there was so many. That's how many poppers there were. Oh, yeah. And then there was just a handful selective rappers, and I was like, I stood back and my communication skills were so dope at that time that I knew that I could talk and do that. Like, and when that version came out, it had an instrumental version and it said rap your own version. So remember, I used to have that little cassette thing, so we play it right there, push it on with the record, and I'd sit there with that thing and I'd start rapping into it, and then pretty soon I was like, whoa, wait a minute,
Is that me?
It sounds dope. Yeah. And then so I took it outside.
I had one, I had a pink one.
I took it outside. I took it outside and I'm like, whoa, man, these cats really feeling it. Like they feeling this. So I was like, man, I think I could do this. So man, yeah, I'm not gonna pop no more. Like I'm not gonna do it no more. So Heckle, Jekyll, Handyman, all stayed into it. Like all kept with the crew. And I started doing it like more and more, and then they had auditions for the cast of Breaking to go to Mexico. And Ice was supposed to go, but he didn't want to go. He's like, I don't speak Spanish, I don't want to go, but I'm gonna send my guy with you. And they were like, who? So it was me. Like they go, I'm gonna send my little guy over there to audition for you, and he'll DJ and he'll MC and all that. So they were like, man. So at that time we went and. We went to audition. They were paying. It was 28-week tour in Mexico, all through Cuernavaca, Jalisco, Mérida, Mexico City. We were on two episodes of Siempre en Domingo with Raúl Velasco. We did the one episode with Lola Beltran, which was amazing because I sat right next to her while they did her thing in one of the last performance that she had done, rest in peace, and she was a legend and one of my grandma, and so it was kind of like crazy for me to even sit like this close to her while she was getting ready. I mean, I had like chills up my whole time, and I remember I hadn't even been done at that time. And if you go back and even Google it, you can see us in that show on Siempre en Domingo. I think on the whole Breaking things on and I think you look up Siempre en Domingo.
I'm gonna look it up.
And Ice-T, in fact, when he had seen us, when we had came back from the show in Siempre en Domingo, he had actually seen us. He was right there with us when he actually pulled back the thing and saw us on TV. And the actual performance was dope. Because when we got back from Mexico, he was like, man, and that was my first taste of going on tour. That was my first taste of me really not even having a big record or anything like that, but getting ready to go out. And as soon as I got back from that Breaking tour from Mexico, I cut my first record, which was in '87, and that was Rough Cut with Electro Beat Records, which people took me one of them sketching table things and had me draw out the label. So the original things with me and Ice-T and all our stuff on our first real label that we had, because we were the first real label mates. If you Google Kid Frost and Ice-T, you'll see those pictures as well of us way back. So
that's amazing to know that you and Ice-T came up in that way, because I would have never. There's just certain things you just can't Google that you wouldn't know. You have to get it straight from the person. Unless you was there or with that person, or you just have to get it straight from the person. Because I would have never known that. I knew that they were friends,
even just to hear the stories too.
Like, to hear the stories, it's like it's meant to be.
You really had to commit to listening to somebody's music and having a cassette and having a cassette player or having a record player, and things are different nowadays. Everything is so disposable, so it's like you get something and you're cool about it for like a day, then it's done. So like just to hear those stories,
saying it is
things
one
like that,
showing you
us. Look at that right there. I love it. I'm gonna show you guys some of this later on during the video footage. Y'all gotta check this footage out. I mean, it is just